Hello and welcome back to Ben Keenan Just Can't Stop Talking, the water cooler episode, also known as the 10-ish minute news show where you'll hear about literally everything that happened today, well, over the past 24 hours technically, so that you're a little smarter about a lot of things. It is Wednesday, February 19th. Happy hump day. Yes, I still say hump day. That's like showing my age, I fear, but alas, here we are. By now, you know the drill. We are going to talk about everything that happened, all the bits and bobs that happened overnight when we clocked off, all the way through everything that happened today when we clocked off yet again. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start talking about things that happened over the evening on Wednesday? These weeks mess me up where you get a day off at the beginning because of a holiday. Yes, overnight on Wednesday at 2:59 p.m. So technically not overnight, I suppose. This is just some stuff that popped up. I don't know what to tell you. 2:59 p.m. USDA acknowledged that over the weekend, it accidentally fired officials that were working to combat bird flu outbreaks across the country and is now trying to rehire them. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that the words accidentally and trying should concern you in this context. At 3:48 p.m., the Senate confirmed former financial services firm CEO Howard Lutnick as Trump's Secretary of Commerce in a 51-45 vote. At 4:13 p.m., Donald Trump signed an executive order to study how to expand access to IVF and make it more affordable. Now, experts have said that this doesn't actually expand access. It's truly just the study of the expansion, so it's going to come with policy decisions. So in the long run, if these policy decisions were actually made and executed upon, it could help a lot of people. However, let it be known that a lot of these people who are going to be voting with Donald Trump on this, Republicans specifically, are going to be getting a lot of their financing for their campaigns, their job, their staff from people who do not support IVF treatment. So my question, we'll see how this happens, I'm just thinking it through, is how does one implement IVF affordability expansion in the US if your party actively opposes IVF expansion in the US, let alone making it affordable? It sounds to me like they're going to run into a MAGA wall. Technically another MAGA wall. At 4:16 p.m., speaking of a MAGA wall, the president of NYU's college Republicans was forced to resign after calling Barron Trump, who goes to NYU, and, quote, oddity on campus. She says her statements were taken out of context, but the College Republicans of America still said that her statement, quote, does not align with the values and principles upheld by our organization. I read the statement that she made originally, and it actually was taken out of context. She was kind of comparing it to when Dylan and Cole Sprouse went to NYU and saying he's an oddity. He's a commuter student. People are looking at him and he's not really like a part of the NYU community. He's just there to be observed. She did not say he was odd. And that just goes to show you that this group doesn't really care about the specifics so much as the image behind it. So there's all that. I'm not defending this girl or anything. All I'm saying is that if you're capable of reading, maybe you should read between the lines and see what she's saying here. At 4:38 p.m., Kamala Harris signed on with the talent agency CAA, which is the same agency that reps Barack and Michelle Obama, as well as now Joe Biden, after their time in office. And y'all, I'm just from the influencer perspective, what I am seeing is either A, she is signing on now because she is going to do like national book tours and speaking events ahead of a run in 2028, or this is her final show and she's going to be doing a lot of these book writing, engagement, speaking events because she's going to retire from public life. I don't know. At 4:59 p.m., A$AP Rocky was found not guilty of assault with a semi-automatic firearm, aka allegedly shooting at a former friend. He doesn't have to go to jail, which is congrats to Rihanna, because girl, you can get in the studio now because your husband is going to be at home watching them kids, right? 5:01 p.m. According to prosecutors in Brazil, former Brazilian President Bolsonaro agreed to a plan to poison the current Brazilian President Lula as part of his attempted coup to remain in power in Brazil. So, love the idea that other countries are actively investigating coup attempts. Just saying. 7 p.m., KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, is moving its headquarters to Texas. Side eye. And at 11:20 p.m., Meghan Markle, the Suits actress, and yes, I suppose the Duchess of Sussex, has unveiled a new lifestyle brand called As Ever, which actually just seems to be the rebrand of her teased brand from last year called the American Riviera Orchard, which I didn't like anyway. I'm not loving As Ever, but it's your brand. Do what you want. People probably don't like the name of this podcast, but that's too damn bad because I think it's hilarious. And now moving into the news of today, Thursday, February 19th. At 4:47 a.m., Donald Trump blamed the Russia-Ukraine war on Ukraine. Let me just read you this full post so you can get the complete idea of what the fuck we're working with here. Quote, think of it. A modestly successful comedian, Volodymyr Zelensky, talked the United States of America into spending $350 billion to go into a war that couldn't be won, that never had to start, but a war that he, without the US and, quote, Trump, will never be able to settle. The United States has spent $200 billion more than Europe, and Europe's money is guaranteed, while the United States will get nothing back. Why didn't sleepy Joe Biden demand equalization, in that this war is far more important to Europe than it is to us? We have a big, beautiful ocean as separation. On top of this, Zelensky admits that half of the money we sent him is, quote, missing. He refuses to have elections, is very low in Ukrainian polls, and the only thing he is good at was playing Biden, quote, like a fiddle. A dictator without elections, Zelensky better move fast or he is not going to have a country left. In the meantime, we are successfully negotiating an end to the war with Russia, something all admit only, quote, Trump and the Trump administration can do. Biden never tried, Europe has failed to bring peace, and Zelensky probably wants to keep the, quote, gravy train going. I love Ukraine, but Zelensky has done a terrible job. His country is shattered and millions have unnecessarily died. And so it continues, ... And I mean, this isn't unusual for the way that he speaks about this whole war. Just listen to what he said yesterday.
And I think it's going very well. But today I heard, oh, well, we weren't invited. Well, you've been there for 3 years. You should have ended it 3 years. You should have never started it. You could have made a deal. I could have made a deal for Ukraine that would have given them almost all of the land, everything, almost all of the land, and no people would have been killed, and no city would have been demolished, and not one dome would have been knocked down. But they chose not to do it that way. And President Biden, in all fairness, he doesn't have a clue. What he was so bad.
So all of this is just really gross, and I beg you not to forget that Russia started this war. That is not a difference of opinion. That is just straight up a fact. Russia invaded Ukraine, and we're trying to rewrite history for what reason? I mean, we know the reason. We know why we're trying to rewrite history, but like, shut the fuck up about it. And I encourage you all to continue watching how Trump will, and no matter what changes, this will be the same. Never criticize Russia for this. It just won't happen. And the sooner that we get behind the understanding that this is going to be a consistent pattern, the better, especially as we look forward to how we push back against this type of absurd behavior. At 6:25 a.m., singer Cassie announced that she is pregnant with her third child. At 8:31 a.m., two small planes collided mid-air at the Marana Regional Airport in Arizona. 2 people died. Once again, do I even need to say it at this point? At 8:36 a.m., WNBA player Brittany Griner, who was the woman held in the Russian prison for marijuana charges, canceled her appearance at a marijuana conference after finding a threatening note in her hotel room. At 8:43 a.m., Illinois Democratic Governor J.B. Pritzker endorsed the idea of screen-free schools, joining a national trend to remove cell phones in the classroom. At 9:57 a.m., former Georgia Republican Senator and notable billionaire Kelly Loeffler has been confirmed as Trump's Small Business Administrator 52-46. At 10:08 a.m., so there's this adult film star, I'm sure you've heard this story. This adult film star who had all those articles written about her for sleeping with 100 men in one day. You know who I'm talking about, right? Like the blonde one. Well, anyway, she's pregnant now. So I, for one, am shocked by that news. Shocked. At 10:28 a.m., TikTok stars Kay and Tay announced that they are expecting their second baby together after having their first just 15 months ago. So 2 under 2, best of luck to the both of you. At 10:59 a.m., Trump called himself a king in a tweet demanding the end of congestion pricing in New York, saying, quote, congestion pricing is dead. Manhattan and all of New York is saved. Long live the king. First, not all of New York uses congestion pricing, just New York City. Those are two different things. You sound dumb. Second, New York's Governor Kathy Hochul, who was a Democrat and was the one who followed Andrew Cuomo into becoming the governor after he, was stepped down, right? Or was removed after he was no longer governor, said in what may have been the only politically savvy response that I've seen from her since taking office, this, quote, public transit is the lifeblood of New York City and critical to our economic future, as a New Yorker, like President Trump, knows very well. Since this first-in-the-nation program took effect last month, congestion has dropped dramatically and commuters are getting to work faster than ever. Broadway shows are selling out and foot traffic to local businesses is spiking. School buses are getting kids to class on time and yellow cab trips increased by 10%. Transit ridership is up, drivers are having a better experience, and support for this program is growing every day. We are a nation of laws, not ruled by a king. The MTA has initiated legal proceedings in the Southern District of New York to preserve this critical program. We'll see you in court. Honestly, slay. And at 3:31 p.m., Delta Airlines is offering $30,000 to passengers who were aboard that plane that flipped over and caught on fire during its landing in Toronto. And I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just not. I'm not a lawyer. That's not my job. However, if I was in a plane crash that flipped upside down and caught on fire while landing and I was evacuated, there better be some additional zeros on the end of that $30,000 offer. Once again, I'm not your lawyer, but I am pretty sure a lot of lawyers will give you that exact same advice. With that being said, that is all the news for today. There was a lot. I know there was a lot, and I'm sorry there was a lot about Trump too. Sometimes that man just sucks up the oxygen and there's no other news that comes out. I'm giving you what I got, okay? I will see you again tomorrow where we talk about more shit that happens. But if you want to see me in the meantime, I'm on social media at TikTok and YouTube at I've Been Traveling, at Instagram and Threads at Ben Keenan, or you can catch me here on the podcast at Ben Keenan Just Can't Stop Talking on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I will see you tomorrow after work because I have to go into the office again. So it's going to be a late one, but I'll see you then. Bye.